Yeah.
So we're going the first one, as you can see that our colleagues call this Ushidashi do Tosei Gusoku type. That's what this one is called.
Yeah.
So they say it has a lion dog shishi in on this plate here. You can let me just show it to you. Look at this.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that beautiful?
Isn't it beautiful? Pete, let's face it, they have. Okay, just ignore the one on the left and the right. We talked about them. We're going to talk about now in the middle. Pete, are these armors not exceptional what they have? Japanese
Oh
armor.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
The weird thing is that this incredibly elaborately embossed armor is the direct descendant only a generation before of totally practical. They decided having all the scales laced together, or even plates with holes to match the scale lacing, that made the armor more vulnerable. Too many holes, the lacing got wet. So let's make it in plates. And they made these hinged armors that would wrap around the body and tie up. They had kuzazuri hanging off the bottom. And these were flat iron plates. They would forge weld soft iron to hard steel. So the outside surface was hard, the inside surface was soft, or metal, so that when it was hit by a bullet or something, that it would absorb it and not shatter. So a very advanced technical thing. And then, like about 20 or 30 years later, somebody thought, they've got these big sheets of metal. We could emboss them and make them each one into a work of art. And that's what they did. The embossing
yes.
generally weakened the armor. But if you could afford to have it embossed, you were too important to be in the front lines.
So the kabuto, which they have it here, they call it is a knotted handkerchief kabuto, right? Akitenuku, right? And it has a Buddhist wheel on it as well. We will see. Look at it. Let me just see if I have more. Here. You see that? Look at the Buddhist wheel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
The wheel of existence. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You see this kind of flaring back. This is like from a cap that was made
Yes.
from cloth. And
Yes.
it looks like some science fiction thing. But in fact, the Japanese took everyday items, and sometimes this is not metal. Sometimes there's a metal helmet and it's got all these decorations on it that are just lacquered thin wood. Other times it's metal. But the point is that they were taking everyday items like different types of hats, monks' hats, whatever, and turning them into decorations for helmets.
Yes.
And the result is, I mean, there are books just on Japanese helmets because they're so
Yes.
amazing in their design.
So yeah, exactly. So this kabuto is again knotted handkerchief, as we just said, with the Buddhist well, and then they have also it is the signature. Look at the signature. Do you remember this guy?
Yeah, Iyatada.
Yeah, he already talks about a helmet made signed by his name in another collection in Germany. Do you remember, We talked on this.
Yeah, yeah. So Saotomi is the family name,
Yes,
which
that's
is
right.
the Saotomi school, and
Yes,
he is Iyatada.
yes.
Uh,
So
yeah.
this
So
signature has both, like this written here, and already it says the founder of this school around 1600. Absolutely.
mm.
Isn't
But
it beautiful?
and
It
yeah,
was
and
purchased by Madame Pusset in 1880. So then she donated it to the museum, right?
yeah.
So
Well, a lot of things were. I mean,
yeah,
when Japan was modernizing, a lot of these things became surplus. Nobody was wearing armor anymore because they were wearing modern uniforms. They didn't. The government didn't want to encourage the samurai class to be
yes,
too independent, so
yes,
they didn't want them to keep all these things. So a lot of stuff was bought in Japan by European collectors,
yes,
American collectors,
yes,
and even the Japanese often gave armors as presents to people. I
yes,
mean, going
absolutely.
back to James the First, as they mentioned earlier, but in what we would
The
call
the
Meiji
true the
Japan.
the ones the true we talked about, they were given as present. Do you remember those two?
Yeah,
And now look
yeah,
at this. They call it a composite armor because if you look at the body armor cuirass, it has the signature of Kunimi, right? So it has another Kunimichi, sorry. It has another
yeah,
signature, right? who was Myoshin school between 1664 1707. So you see that it is different ones, different signatures, as you can see it here.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
well, I mean, it's so easy to put armor together in Japanese armor because it's not form fitted to the body.
Yes.
It's
And yes. So I
yeah,
just had
it's
some
relative.
information about this type of armor here.
Mhm.
And also, who was the, this is interesting for us to know because the body armor, Kunimichi, was a name used by members of the famous, right, Japanese armor
Yeah,
making tradition. Again, I would like to repeat, these names are only not one person. It's like Asadullah, Kalb Ali, Amal Ismail, the same practice which was done in Iran, right? Just
yeah.
it's
Well, in Japan, within lineages of sword makers and armor makers, the senior master might adopt one of his apprentices as his son because he was the best armorer in the group of apprentices, and
yes,
he would carry on the name. So they would not necessarily be genetically related to each other.
yes, yes,
They
yes,
would be related by the artisan, the artisanal craft,
yes,
the
yes,
the method of doing things. And you get, names like such and such the seventh, such and such the eighth. And they may not be related at all, but they are carrying on the idea and the tradition, and that's why they get that they adopt the surname, or they're adopted by the master.
Pete, look at
So it's
the
important to,
plates
yeah,
integrated in protecting the shoulders, upper arms. Look
yeah.
at
This
unbelievable.
is
Look at this one.
much denser mail in the cote in the sleeves too than you saw in some of the earlier ones.
Yes,
Um, the reason there's this big gap, you might notice the breastplate stops, then there's this really long lacing, and then the metal plates of the kuzazuri, the skirts, start.
yes,
There was a big sash wrapped around obi wrapped around at that point,
yes,
and if the armor went up under it, you couldn't bend, and there
yes,
was very little that would go through multiple layers of cloth like
yes,
that in
yes,
that position. So you were pretty
yes.
safe. You weren't going to be damaged that way. Earlier armors are built slightly differently. This um it shows the fashion of the time because actual clothes fashion influenced armor design. Armor design sometimes in patterns influence clothing design too.
So this kabuto goes for those guys who are Japanese. I have also many on Japanese armor, as Bede does. So it goes into this okitenuki kabuto, right? And take a look at this. Why isn't it playing games with me again? I'm sorry, Pete. I don't know what's going on. Pete, I need to get out and come back again. I don't.
That's
uh,
okay. That's okay.
this is. I'm sorry. Let me just see. Yeah, this was okay. Here, let me just see what happened. Okay, now I have it again. This is better now.
Mhm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because underneath a helmet with
Yes.
this shape could be different styles of actual helmet
Mm.
bowl. So
Ah,
you could have the one made of multiple plates. You could have the
yes.
one made of three plates with a plate over there and two side plates,
Yes.
similar
Yes.
to a Sasanian helmet.
Yes.
Uh,
Ah, here we have. Please, Pete,
yeah,
take a look
that's a,
at the plates here. Look at the shoulder
mm.
protection and look at our shoulder protection and upper
See
arm
that shoulder
protection.
protection is in the shape of the fan,
Yes.
the rigid fan, not the folding fan, but the rigid fan, which was
Yes.
also a symbol that a general would use to
Yes.
direct troops and
Absolutely.
things like that.
Look at the
So
now
this
look at the arm protection, Pete.
mm.
Nice, huh?
Again, you see that where the elbow bends,
Yes.
they've got little cutouts in the mail to make it more
Yes.
flexible.
Yes.
I
Unbelievable.
think in Japanese fencing, you would be very unlucky for somebody to. You would be moving so fast, it would be very hard to get into the
Yes. Very
inner
good.
elbow area. But general slash, if it cut across there are tendons, there are all kinds of
Yes.
things you wouldn't want to get cut.
Look at the leg protection, Pete, and foot protection.
Mm. Well, clearly they were wearing uh, regular sandals. The foot protection is like a metal version of a tabi, a sock with this separate big toe.
Yes.
That was earlier armors had those bearskin boots, but
Yes.
this is, I think, much more reflective of what people were really wearing on their feet.
Yeah.
Uh,
The bearskin
it,
foot. We talked about one armor from Hermitage
yeah,
collection. I remember. Yes.
yeah. That's. I mean, they still made them at the time this armor was made, but consciously archaic. They're
Mm.
showing off that they knew all the old armor stuff. They're not saying this is good armor. They're saying this is what our ancestors wore, and where we deserve to be recognized for how close we are to our ancestors'
Yes.
equipment. It's very nice. I mean, uh,
Yes.
the armored foot that I got to play with or handle uh, in an antiques fair was like that, but there was more anatomical um, modeling over the top of the foot, so it looked like it had. Well, my memory says that. I could be wrong, and there was a little bit more
Yeah.
articulation. But
Yeah.
see, that would work really well.
Yes.
It's not. Again, we're not talking about really thick metal here. This
No.
isn't particularly heavy. I mean, it is heavy, but it's not particularly heavy.
No.
And maybe only a 0.9 of a millimeter thick or something like that.
Yes.
But it would stop casual slashes from cutting your
Yeah.
toes off, which
It will.
is pretty important.
And now we can go to the next one, and you see this. We are going to see the next one, which has a really, really long name, right? As our colleagues here put
Yes.
it. This is from 1751 to 1763. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So, yes.
I sometimes wonder whether French transliterations are to be read in French or in Japanese. Is it Tsuchiya or Tsuchiya?
Yeah.
Mostly they're using, see, the modern Japanese transcription system.
Yes.
Now, I
Mhm.
that's pretty much describing the lacing, I think.
Yes, it does. Let me just show
Yeah.
this armor to you. Look at this one. For
Well, see,
anyone
mine
out
was.
there who thinks they have a big mustache, please take a look at this one.
Hey, I think the Bowmaker Yap copper dryer in America could match that one. But yeah,
This is
that's a proper
See, but let's
mustache.
face it, the collection of Japanese armor of Musée de l'Armée it's exceptional, isn't it? This is unbelievable.
Oh yeah, this is really. I mean, it's not just good; it's interesting. It actually shows you all different ideas. The neck guard there is a different style to
Yes.
most. You don't see too many like that.
I have to
Um,
say, Pete, we talked also on this channel on different Japanese armor from different museums, but this is a different level from this museum. You
yeah,
have to
no,
say.
this is really. It's innovative and high grade.
Yes.
I'm not sure that some of the ties and that are set up correctly because you can see little rings on the armor where those silk ties are supposed to go.
Yeah.
Uh, and those pieces coming across like that are actually supposed to be straight up and down. But
Yeah.
again, once it's set up, you don't want to disturb it too much in case you break something.
Yeah, yeah, of
Uh,
course.
if you're doing a full conservation, like if they go through and they do everything necessarily to maintain the silk and polish the lacquer and that, they take the whole thing apart and put it back together. That's when you see suddenly things look more authentic because the conservators have access to, up to date information about how the armor was originally put together. When
Yes.
this was put together, it might have been put together in, the 1950s. I mean, I went into the collection earlier, but the display might have been done in the 50s or 60s, and that was considered quite normal.
Okay, Pete, two
Then
questions
again,
for our viewers before I
yeah,
forget. Look at the wheel.
yep.
Say some words about that wheel for us, please.
Okay, well, this is the Maidate. This is a press that slots into a little holder on the front of the helmet.
Yes.
A wheel
Yes.
can be the Buddhist wheel of existence.
Yes.
So, life is a circular thing. You're born, you
Yes.
you grow up, you get old, you die. and then you're
Yes.
reborn. So it goes round and round.
Yes.
But sometimes things that look like one thing also have a second meaning. They can be a clan sign
Yes.
or something like that, or a pun. The
And
Japanese.
look at the mustache. Why is such a big one?
Look, to be honest, I think it really works. It looks like a kind of like a cartoon from France or Belgium in the 1920s. Not of a Japanese, just of anybody with a big moustache. Um, they did all kinds of wonderful things with the facial hair on these mempo. Uh, and partly it was an exaggeration to make it noticeable.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
if you
of
had
course
just
it
a
is.
small moustache, from 100 meters away, you wouldn't even see it. But that would stand out. Oh, here we go.
Look at this one.
See the yeah.
Unfortunately, there is some damage, but it's normal. They're very old armor, right,
Oh
guys?
yeah, the lacquer that just shows that underneath it's leather rather than
Yes.
steel, which is not unusual.
Mhm.
You notice how carefully the feet are hinged, so
Yes.
you've got the flexibility to walk.
Here you mean,
Uh,
yes. Hmm.
and the hinges are at two different angles because the different
Yes.
sides of the foot, are moving differently.
Yes.
When you look on the left side, you're looking close up at the arm guard,
Yes.
hinged with a flaring rim around the hand, so something coming
Yes.
down the arm guard doesn't slip over and cut the hand.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Um, they're in the leg guards, you see raised metal pieces integrated into the mail. I think sometimes that embossing was to, apart from making them look pretty, was to make them stronger. So often they're not beaten as thin as, say, where you've got the lion dog or something. There may be some really thin spots.
Yes.
If you
Absolutely.
look on the left, you can see the top part of the hand. You can see the separate piece covering the back of the thumb. You can see
Yes.
the separate piece covering the
Yes.
palm. They're attached
Yes.
by mail. It would be quite
Yes.
flexible, but
Yes.
still good protection. I
Yes.
mean, not from a full swing of a naginata, but
Again,
certainly from
this
those
one
things.
has also a sign, is a Kino Muneyasu. Again, they say it's a signature name, right? So look at this. Let me just go. Then we go to another one, folding armor.
Oh
This
yeah,
is
tatami
from
good.
1760 tatami
Mm.
Hosuko. Look at this one. Do you like this one? This is beautiful. I
Oh yeah.
love
I
this
mean,
one.
it kind of has resonances with Persian and Russian
Yes,
Bektash, and
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It reminds of Persian Russian and so.
But
Yeah, yeah.
that's what's really interesting. I always saw it. Oh, how did they get that influence? But in the National Museum of Korea, there's an armor from 1345,
Yeah.
and it is rectangular plates set in mail, and
A Korean armor, right?
yeah, and nothing like any other Korean armor. But clearly, you can see the influence coming through the Mongols,
Ah,
like 100 years before.
yeah, yeah.
And the Mongols had access to Iran and to Russia. And so I think these armors, I mean, this is a later version, but I think the concept of this plate and mail structure spread quite
Yes, yes.
widely
Quite
because
well.
it's quite efficient. You don't have to make really big plates. The
No.
mail gives it flexibility. The plates stop blades cutting straight through it.
Yes, they
Um,
do.
and
Yeah.
it reduces the chance of a point being thrust through
Yes, it
uh,
does.
a weak spot in the mail. It's more likely to hit one of the plates because the plates make up a larger part
And
of the
there are
area.
sometimes people who are, yeah, but you can go and target at the mail. This guy's not going to stand there and say, okay, now target it here, please. He keeps moving as well, right?
Look, it's like people saying, "Oh, somebody thrusts a spirit, you jump out of the way." That only works if there's nobody around you. If there's a guy on this side and a guy on that side,
Yeah.
you cannot jump out of the way because there's nowhere to go.
Yes,
And I think this is because when people play games, it's one on one.
of course.
But
Of
in
course.
reality, in battles, I mean, it's different from dueling. Dueling is a whole different thing. But in
Absolutely.
battles,
It's completely different.
there's a whole group of guys. I mean, it's why the Greeks had big shields and all stuck together.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Pete, look at the helmet.
yeah. So the helmet could come from Sind.
Exactly. That was exactly my point. And look at the
Yeah.
chin protection, Pete.
Chin protection is very much Japanese,
Yes.
but the jawline is very Icelandic, if you ask me. One of those big Nordic jaws. But that, having that jaw protection, like just from the mouth down and it goes up the cheeks a bit. It's one of the ways that they cut down the mempo into a much less obscuring piece of armor,
Yeah,
because
that's right.
maybe not people weren't getting hit as often in the face as they thought they were going to be.
Yes. This was the folding armor. Let us look at the shin protection and foot protection here. Please take a look at that.
Yeah, the shin protection is very much more traditional.
Yes.
Unlike put it this way, this tradition goes back to the 1400s or earlier, whereas the tradition of those fully enclosed ones goes back to the 1100s. So when an idea has been thought up, it's not discarded. It just becomes, used for different purposes. The feet fully protected for the time and the type of armor. The Kuzazuri on this are mainly male. Instead of those bands of iron or leather, they're mainly male, and they've decided, because they're loose moving, if you hit them with a sword or a spear, it's going to flop around it and absorb the energy. Whereas on the chest, they've got lots of plates in there because it's not going to have that ability to absorb energy. So this is a very sensible use of mail. They've made it loose and flowing where that will work. They've made it stacked with little plates where that's more important.
Yeah. Beautiful bead, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work goes into that, but I've never seen anyone wearing one of these, either a reproduction or an original. But
Yeah, I
my
mean,
impression is this
yeah,
would be
absolutely.
very
That's why,
comfortable to wear.
Pete, that's why these things we do and talk about important pieces of arms and armor in museum. It is to spread knowledge, right? That not to be so
Yeah.
restricted, you know?
I mean, somebody's going to see this and say, I can make one of those, and then
Yeah,
make it and find out,
absolutely.
oh, if you have that many plates, it's too hard to bend over. If you have lesser plates, then it's really flexible. If you don't have plates here, then this part is,
Yeah, yeah.
vulnerable. But then you look, I mean, I like the aesthetic of this.
We
I
go
can
to the
see how it
next
would,
one, it's early
yeah.
17th century, Murasaki Ito Odoshiya, they call it. And look at this one, Pete. Do you like this one?
Oh, this is classic Domaru type.
Yeah.
Where the lacing is very predominant. It's the major part of the design. Whereas underneath
Purple
that lacing is all
color.
the scales.
Yes.
Yeah, it projects real power. The horn shape. Oh, look, there's a special name for Moidate that are shaped like that. Because the Japanese, this has a specific meaning. It's not just it's a big thing on your helmet, and also that's thin brass, so it flops when you're moving. It moves. It's. I mean, the one thing that you've got to say for Japanese period movies is when they have armor in them, you really get the feeling of what that armor looks like in real life.
Yeah.
They,
Yeah.
it's well,
They do.
often so very well done. You
Yes.
notice the kind of padded knee guard kind of
Yes.
things above the ciniate. This is
Yes.
a kind of brigandine
Mm.
where you've got two pieces of cloth, and in between the two pieces of cloth are little hexagonal plates of metal that have been lacquered to be waterproof, with a couple of holes in the center of them, and then they're laced through.
Yes.
And it's very flexible, very good against cutting attacks,
Yes.
reasonably effective against like arrows and things like that, because again, there are only very small gaps between the plates, and you've got to be
Yes.
lucky to get an arrow into those.
Yes.
And it's attractive. It's
That's right.
brigandine, basically.
Pete, look at the work on this.
Yeah, I mean, this works so well. When you see Japanese armor up close and look at how it's laced, And when you find out how that's actually put together and realize just how technically difficult it is to do that, because um, I remember when I first read a book on Japanese armor written by, like in the 1700s by a Japanese armor expert and translated into English. Uh, I thought, oh, yeah, I understand how it all works. Then later on, I realized I didn't understand it at all because they would give samples of scales, but these scales were from the neck guards, and they're different. They look exactly the same, but they've got a different number of holes. And the way they're laced together is different because the neck guards are meant to be flexible, whereas the body parts are meant to be relatively rigid. I mean, they're not like a
Yes.
solid block of steel kind of rigid, but
Yes.
they're relatively quite rigid and they're lacquered into
Yes.
kind of solid shapes. Um,
We go to the next one, Beat. This armor, I really love it. From 1750, and it was bought in Japan in 1874 by Philip Sichel, as they call it. I mean, German name, Sichel, but Sichel, as they call it. And then it added some things to it. But and then Monroe gave it as a present to the museum in 1896. I would like to say something to you before we go and talk about this armor. Look at what we have at the top of the armor. Helmets.
isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to first show it to you. It's amazing. Look at this
Yeah,
one.
it's kind of a dragon bat.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's a blend of different mythical and real creatures because bats are very
Look at
important.
the details on this.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It is. That's why I need to first talk about this.
Yeah,
Incredible.
there's some really. I mean, you're looking at it as art and you're saying, "Oh, this is part of a culture," and that. But deep down, I think the Japanese have a profound sense of humor. I think they are consciously aware of the weird and the funny, and they're very straight faced about it because
This could be
it's who they are.
straight from a horror movie, huh?
Oh yeah.
So let's go to
Well,
this
the thing
one.
is, if a guy wearing this armor came at you with a spear or a sword, it would be a horror movie.
Yeah, this is this armor beat. Look at this.
Yeah. So he's got his throat guard, the Odawa.
Yeah.
I think that's an Odawa. If it's attached to the Mempo, it's got a different name.
Yeah.
You can see the Mempo. He's got a nice restrained moustache. Um, not as big as some people's. The cord dangling down over his chest is actually the helmet cord. That's gone down inside the mempo and everything like that. Normally that would be tied up and you wouldn't see it. Um, Notice that the body has been embossed to look like a scale armor.
Yeah. It is.
Uh, yeah, that's. I'm guessing that's a sheet of metal that's been embossed into that shape,
Yes.
judging from its date.
Yes.
Um,
That's right. Let me just show it to you.
yeah,
Here. Look at this.
yeah. Isn't that nicely done?
Yeah. Very.
But again, sometimes those scales are not embossed, they're built up with lacquer over a steel base. So
Yeah.
that there's a real solid armor inside that, and it's got all the lacquer over it to make it look pretty. And you attack the guy thinking, oh, this is going to be weak, and actually there's a steel plate 2 millimeters thick underneath or something. I don't know in this particular case, but what I'm saying is that sometimes these armors were very deceptive. And that so that's a two-piece dough. So therefore, it's a back and a front, and they hinge together and they tie up on one side. The other one's the one with the earlier one we saw. That may be a 4 or 5 piece or a 6-piece dough, and it's something like the hinged Persian char You know, the ones that they're not separate plates, but they're
Yes.
hinged and they fold
Hinged.
around the body.
Yes.
They're very similar in construction to
Yes.
these, and with similar purposes. They brought in the solid plate armors, the
Yes.
the breastplates that are single, double, quadruple, or whatever,
Yes.
to
Please take a
stop
look at the
bullets.
shim protection bead on this one, and also
Oh
for
yeah, that's nice.
yeah.
So that's thin strips. I'm Yes, yeah, they're integrated into the mail, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a really good way of making something that's flexible and comfortable with a high level of protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really see, this is the thing. Every Japanese armorer and every patron wants to look different and stand out. But they also want to reference earlier armors and say how we're part of this tradition and do and this is granddad's armor was something like this and we made this book and then we're honoring our granddad who was a great warrior.
You know, in many books, I wrote it myself as well, but in many books, many others did the same thing. They always, I'm sure you've read it as well everywhere, there is a similarity between Japanese and Persian tradition in sword making, that or in weapon making. They're both traditional and conservative. For example, you see there are not
Yeah.
many different blade shapes in Iran, not many different blade shapes comparatively, right, to other nations in Japan. But one
Oh
thing
yeah.
I need to add something here. I need to add something here. Persians were also conservative in how many types of armor looks they had.
Yeah.
But Japanese certainly were not conservative in making
No.
different types of armor. That's what I have to say. That to,
Yeah.
really.
Well, I'll give you a comparable example to Turkey. If you look at Japanese kimonos of the 16th, 17th,
Yeah.
and 18th centuries and look at the patterns on the cloth, they're totally wild, totally crazy. If you go to Istanbul and look in Topkapi at the Sultan's kaftans from the same period, equally crazy.
Yes.
Uh, so that right across the world, people were having these moments of absolute crazy design
Yes.
to
Really
stand
nice.
out. The
Yeah.
same thing was happening in Iran, because if you look at late Safavid fabrics, they're so elaborate.
Yes.
And I don't know whether it was similar outlooks or just random,
Yeah.
but you can see parallels between these cultures. And if you don't know the history, you think they're really connected. But
Yes.
when you know the history, you realize they came to the same area
Yeah.
from different parts.
Look at the blue color on this one.
Oh yeah, I love the blue lacing. I had a friend in Chinese martial arts, and we made him a lamellar armor of deep blue
Yes.
leather scales
Yes.
with light blue lacing,
Yes.
and it looked so good. And we got the concept of the blue lacing from looking at Japanese armors because they love blue lacing.
Beautiful.
I mean, it turned out that it was in Chinese armors from the Tang Dynasty as well, but that
Mm.
wasn't the point. We didn't know
Mm.
that at the time. We were accidentally accurate.
Look at this one, Beat.
Yeah, you see that the whole thing is really done very nicely.
Yeah.
And look at the incredible silk brocade fabrics that are part of the support for the haidate, the thigh guards. Um, Underneath the mail, often it's a high quality silk brocade as well. So you've got those cote with lots of mail. But if you look at a real one up close and look in through the rings, it's often
Yes.
gold and silver
Yes.
brocade
Yes.
silk underneath it, where nobody can really see it.
Yeah.
I mean, you get glimpses.
Again, look at our
Oh,
guy here.
yeah, I like our fish bat dragon.
Look at the
It's got
teeth,
everything.
Pete. Look at the teeth. Look at the tongue, the eyes, the wings,
Yeah,
everything.
it's got it like stylized flames coming up either side. It's got horns.
That's
One
right.
horn looks as though it's been broken off.
Yeah,
It's
one
got
horn
little,
is broken off. Yeah.
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 Well, for the age, that's pretty good.
Yes.
It's just, I don't know. It's so over the top.
Yes.
And
And the
my guess
last
is that,
armor for today, Pete. That's a
yeah, what have we
boy
got?
armor. Very short, a small one, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I know there are armors that were made. Whether they were only made to wear on Boys' Day. There's a Boys' Day ceremony, because they to this day there are little model armors made
Yes.
as gifts for Boys' Day. I've got on my mantelpiece above my fire. I've got a bow and arrow and stand that's only that high,
Yeah.
and it's present on Boys' Day, and it was made in the 1920s, I suppose. It looks very
Yes.
authentic, very old, but it's
Yes.
probably not. And so the concept of It doesn't mean children went out fighting in armor. It means that
No, no, of
on
course.
that special day, you could dress your child up in armor to show, hey, you're really rich. You can afford to have a little armor made.
And the boy is going to grow. Exactly. That's the point.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It's not gonna be used for more than a year.
Yeah.
And
So you see,
really,
that's
it
this
shows
one.
just
We took a
how
look at it.
important. Yeah. Oh, look at it. Isn't it great?
Yeah.
I mean, this is incredible.
Pete, we
Remember,
have come to the end of our armor stats of today, but we are
very
not
nice.
finished with Japanese. In another meetings, we are going to talk about. We already have seen enough kabuto, but the museum has different helmets. We're going to
Oh
talk
yeah.
about them. Then they have signed katana and wakizashi. We're going to talk about from important sword makers.
Oh,
And we are going also to talk about Japanese saddle, one,
oh, the
very
color.
beautiful one. And we are going to talk about what else do we have. Yeah, I mean, also we are going to see some firearms, and also we are going to see some Japanese swords made in European style. Come,
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen pictures of a few of them, and
yes, that's what we are
yeah.
going to do. But I think we need to separate it because otherwise we need enough more
Oh
time. I
yeah,
don't want
yeah.
to rush into that, right?
It's not so much us, but if you're watching this and you're interested in one of these things, you'll get completely bombarded if we made them too long.
Yes,
I
exactly.
mean, it's just so easy because there's so many interesting things, but you've got to be
Yes,
restrained to
yes,
some extent. I don't say,
yes.
entirely restrained, but
Did you
fairly
like
restrained.
these Japanese armors?
Oh yeah, that's really good quality. It's covering a lot of different designs, so you can look at different designs of armor and
Yeah.
learn about it. Um, it illustrates that thing that in the 1600s and 1700s, the Japanese were consciously making archaic armors who have a reference to, this armor refers. Our family goes back to the Heike Rebellion. Yeah, our
When I was
family.
there, I went to this
Yeah.
Japanese room and there was a French family, and then they were talking about, and then the boy asked his Dad, look at these armor, they're so beautiful. I said, yeah, yeah, Japanese, very good. And said, how could they give all the army such armor? And Dad said, Japan was rich. I mean, I didn't say anything, of course, and I just said, why should I say? He said that. I said, no army can afford giving such armors to the whole soldiers. You just go
Oh no, 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 no.
bankrupt.
Well, this is when you see Ashikaru armor and you realize this is the base level, and it's quite good.
Yeah,
It's well designed. As you get richer, it becomes more elaborate. It doesn't make it necessarily better armor. It's just better looking.
yes.
And
And these armor
I mean,
we have seen, these are exceptional armor. I just need to mention it to our viewers that they
yeah,
know
yeah.
what they look at, right?
If
Exactly.
you had an army of 10,000 people, there would be less than 100 that had armor like this.
Exactly. Absolutely.
It'd be the top 20, the top 40, maybe.
Yes, exactly.
And it goes down. And this is inherited armor too. So families inherited armor over generations.
Yes.
Uh, a lot of armors they use for models for making older style armor in the later periods like this were in temples. They were gifts to temples
Yes.
to commemorate some great battle or something like that.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
is it Araya I can't remember off the top of my head, famous author on Japanese armor who wrote about this very thing of making armors in an archaic style to enhance
Yes.
the family of a great lord like a
Yes.
daimyo,
Yes.
and not meant to be used in battle,
Yes.
probably only worn in parades and things like that,
Yes.
but not ceremonial because they're actually made like the real armor. They
Yeah,
were
yeah,
actually
exactly.
functional.
Yes, because you know that in our community, when people say ceremonial, they always the viewers assume they were not functional, right? That's the reason I always say we need to be careful, right? Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I think the English usage is probably misleading.
Yes.
I think that like reading about um, Turkish saddles in the Karlsruhe Museum in German, which I don't understand. So they talk about Prunksaddle,
Exactly. That's better.
Prunk, yeah, and
Yes.
it doesn't translate very well into English because it's
No,
not
prunk,
ceremonial,
ja,
and
you cannot.
it's show off in a
Show
sense.
off, yeah. Prunk is,
Yeah,
and if
yeah,
Prunk-Sache haben, yeah, we're showing off. That's much better than the English word ceremonial. I agree with you. Prunk
yeah,
is
yeah,
good in German. It's a very good
yeah, yeah,
expression. Thanks a lot,
yeah.
Bede, for being here
Yeah,
with me.
it's great fun.
It was really excellent. Yeah, thank you very much, and see you soon.
My pleasure.
Just.